Here we go.
Hey!
Hello, everyone.
Scott is extremely sick.
I
His
am.
voice, he sounds like a Disney villain.
Yeah, I've been coughing for like the last 5 days, and so I've got that deep, sultry voice.
It's a sick voice, honey.
Sick
Sorry.
voice.
All right, episode 5. Last night, let's talk all things episode 5. What a crazy, exciting
We're so
episode.
small. There we go. Yeah, it was not what we were hoping for, I think, overall, but very definite, amazing episode. Probably one of the best.
Yes. Yeah, we're getting a lot of like, are you so mad? Are you so frustrated? No, I mean, it's a game. It is what it is. The contestants had to vote. That was part of the game. It wasn't like they're like, excuse me, we want to vote for somebody that we don't like anymore. You know, it was a game. Like they had to vote for somebody. Scott and I and Jonathan and Anna and actually Jack and Carson, we were the top 3 teams for the first 4 legs.
Yep.
I mean, I wasn't surprised. And they kind of edited it a little bit wrong. When I'm over on the side with Scott and I'm like, ooh, I have that feeling in my stomach. It showed it after. That was actually before when I was like, something is not right. Like this is not settling well with my stomach. And Scott's like, oh no, we're good. We're golden. We're so good with all the teams. And I'm like, we might be friends with all the teams, but I don't think we're good. Like who else are they going to vote for besides Jonathan and Anna?
Right.
And Scott kept saying, I think everyone's going to vote for Jonathan and Anna, and whoever Jonathan and Anna vote for is the other team. And I was like, it's not that easy. Like my stomach, it is not good. So we are not upset. We're not frustrated. We're not mad at anybody of the episode of the season. It was edited. How I remember it is that Mark and we kind of battled a little bit more, kind of back and forth, and then I was just like, I'm not friends with you, pretty much. And then I just like looked at Phil and I just
stop looking at him.
Yeah, because I didn't want to engage anymore with the negativity, the lies, the information he was spewing just does not settle well. Let me just preface that everything is fine with us now, like in that moment. So I thought they would show more of that, and they didn't, I guess, because there's another person on our season who is monopolizing the time, not meaning to, but of course, Amazing Race is going to show all of this person's tantrums, and
it was hard to watch. I think for me, watching the whole thing play out, we knew there would always be equalizers. Like we wake up that morning, literally I had been telling Nick that eye looked infected as before we even started the race, because it just looked so puffy. And I was like trying to give him feedback. Like, I don't think this is something that you want to ignore, like seek medical, talk to the security, whoever, to try to get more attention for this. And so I felt like that connection with every team where I felt like we were good. We were, I don't know.
Yeah. And you had said, hey, you need to go talk to medical. And they're like, well, they looked at it and they just said, it has a little infection, no big deal. And Scott's like, no, you need to get antibiotics. Like that is something that you do not want to mess around with your eyes. And so we kind of gave them, and really like all the teams we had a pretty good connection with. And the votes didn't surprise me. It was the only one that actually, they kind of surprised me, but the one that only hurt was Nick and Mike, because we felt we were closer to them.
With them.
And like if Pops or Jeff or Jack and Carson or Alyssa and Josiah had voted, I would have been like equally as shocked. I was just shocked at their vote. The other votes I wasn't really surprised about, or it didn't hurt as much, I should say, that it came from them, because I thought we were closer to them than some other teams. But you have to vote for someone. So.
Well, and I think the way the edit came across, it almost sounded like your comment about we're not friends anymore was directed at Nick
to
and
them.
Mike.
I know. That's why I'm like, it was a little I had said that to Mark because he was saying, "Oh, you guys are playing a fake game. Like you're not really this nice." And that's when I was like, "Wait a minute. Okay, time out for the gameplay. Like time out for the Amazing Race. No, we
Yeah.
really are like cup is half full. We are kind, nice people. We want people to succeed." And we kind of said that the whole time. And truly, I feel this. Like honestly, no matter what competition I'm doing, if it's a big Amazing Race or if it's something smaller, like I want you to play your best. I would never say, "Oh, I hope you get the wrong taxi. I hope you trip
Right.
over that rock. Like, I hope something negative." Absolutely not. Like, I want you to play your absolute best game against my best game. And you're going to win. And sometimes I'm going to win. And that's just great. Like, I want to support you. And I actually do support you. And I want you to be the best version of yourself. So I don't know. I was just like done talking. Like, it was just so negative. And I'm like, I don't want any part of that. Like, I don't like drama in real life. And I'm
I
like,
know.
that was
We're too
much.
busy for drama.
And it also came up when someone said, I can't remember, they were like, you say you guys are so slow. Or no, I had said, we didn't really feel like we were that big of a competition. And I honestly still feel that way. Like, I didn't think we were that big of a competition because we were older and slower. And Mark was like, lies. And I'm like, okay, let me be more specific of what I mean. In the actual competitions, we did pretty
Right.
good because I feel like we stayed focused and we were more of a team and just like
I feel like we knew our strengths and we knew how to cater to those very quickly and
Right.
very decisively.
Right.
But then we also knew where our weaknesses were and where we needed to make up for that in
Right.
other ways.
So what I was saying as being slow is if everyone is on a line, and I've said
Right.
this before, on your mark and set go, yeah, we're probably going to beat Melinda and we're probably going to beat Pops only because he had an injury. Like right now, if we race, he would beat us. Everyone else would beat us. Everyone else would beat us no matter what, because we are slower. And so I was trying to just, I don't know, I guess say I didn't feel like we were the best or the fastest or the strongest team.
Right.
And I still don't think that. So for them to be like lies, I was just like, I'm done talking about, like, I can't even have a conversation. Like if someone's like, but I really feel like da 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 da, like I could like have a convo. Like honestly, that's how I am in real life. We could talk about politics, we could talk about religion, we could talk about anything. If you are like not bashing me, and I'm obviously not going to bash you, if you're like, no, but like this last week, Scott got a lot of hate about working out of state, which blows my mind. They were like, what a terrible father. He works out of state. And I'm like, if someone asked me, wait, why does Scott, that doesn't seem like that's a great idea. Like, can you explain that to me? And I'll be like, yeah, let me tell you why this is like the best decision for our family. It's not for everybody, but for our family, yes. Scott used to work 25 plus days a month. He was gone all the time. Now he works 12, 13, maybe 14. And now he's home. He is home. So, and when he's home, he's totally home. He goes on field trips. He helps to chaperone different dances. He goes to practices and to games, and he is totally present and totally here. And that is like the main thing, and that is the best for our family. But also, and I as I should have prefaced this first, I'm like, he gets paid almost twice as much, which in turns
makes things easier for our family.
For the family. So I'm like, I get if that's not your thing, or maybe our religion or whatever it is. But just as oh, they're Mormon, I don't like them. I mean, how ignorant are you? Like, he works out of state, I don't like them. How about you just like,
he's gone 80% of the time.
Yeah, ask like, how does that work? Like, is that really a good deal? And I'd be like, oh my gosh, let me explain it to you. And you still don't have to agree with me, and you still don't have to do that as your family, but just having that open conversation dialogue. Anyways, sorry, that was a tangent. That's how it was. Just like we weren't able to like, I don't know, talk about it. It was just like, no, you guys are fake. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm not going to lower myself to that. So
Ashley was saying I was dying how many teams said you were not slow because you complete tasks so fast, but you guys kept saying you were slow moving between tasks.
Yes.
You're not runners. Exactly. That was exactly what we're trying to get across.
Yeah. Because I still had that hurt calf that went up into my thigh. I mean, even if I didn't have a pack, even if I had no injuries, they still could outrun me. Anyways.
Yeah. I agree. I think that it was smart for them to U-turn us, as frustrated as it was to have it happen in the moment. Lori felt it in her gut, just like any mom does when you realize like maybe your kids are doing something they shouldn't be doing. You need to go check on them. You know, that instinct.
I had that feeling.
She had that dread was there. But
And one thing that they didn't air, which I wish they did, right when the first one went and it said Scott and Lori, and they show the and I looked at him. I said to Scott, I'm like, I told you.
yep, I told you so.
I wish they would have aired that because that would have been funny. But I told you.
All right,
I
let's
knew
get
it
to a
wasn't
few
good.
questions that people are asking.
Yes.
How was Anna shocked that they received so many votes? If I were them, I would immediately know votes
I,
were coming our way.
you know, being in the race, you see it from such a different point of view. And seeing it on like it's so different. It's so different. I was just like, "Wait, are you serious, girlfriend? Like you are getting you're in the top 3 every leg and you're surprised that people would go against you. You just made 5 teams pissed at you for giving you 25 pounds. Like why would you think that people wouldn't be slightly upset or had the opportunity to get you back? Like that was kind of surprising. Like I would know that for sure. That was one of the reasons we didn't want the driver's seat because we didn't
Yeah.
want that pressure on our backs.
Here's another question for Playtrium. Do you still keep in touch with the other teams, especially ones that you turned you?
Yes. So 100%. We are all on a group text thread. We chat like literally almost
Oh,
every
literally
day.
almost
And
every day.
we did that. So after we were done with the race, we flew home for a little bit and then we went back to the finale city. That's when we got to see everybody. And it was instantly, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. That was a game that hugs, kisses, like everyone was together. Everyone is friends. Everyone is forgiven everybody. It is tricky because it happened so long ago and we've already talked to people about whatever went down.
Right.
And then like to re-see it and kind of hear things or see things like, well, I didn't know that you said that about me. You're kind of you're getting your feelings hurt. I'm totally fine with everybody. I have no issue with anybody. I will say that one of the teams that make it to the final 3, and I'm not giving any spoilers here. It was after it filmed. It was all done. We were all hugging everybody. Again, this was one of the top 3 teams. Hug them. As I'm actually trying to hug them, this person says, Lori, we are so sorry that we voted against you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Like, this is your moment. You got top 3 of the Amazing Race. So I'm like, that talked a lot about that person's
We got
character.
character.
But I'm like, I would never hold a grudge. Like, if there was something that was said, I'd be like, hey, what did you mean by that? Like, let's talk that out. But I'm like, it's just a game. Like, we're all friends. Last week we were all on playing Among Us. Oh, a bunch of us were on Among Us. We celebrated everyone's birthdays. We did Christmas presents. Like, we sent them all the lollipops. Everyone. And again, you're a little bit closer to some teams versus other teams. Like Jeff and Scott are like the besties of all time besties.
Yeah.
You talk to Jeff and Carson probably second most, but we still have chats with like Hugh, Brett, and sometimes Mark. But Brett and I are like back and forth of RuPaul's Drag Race, and he's like, "What's your drag name?" And I'm like, "I've never thought of that." So there's different connections. Cute Melinda was like, "Hey, your son lives in Arizona. If you ever have an emergency, like let me know if he needs a ride or anything." I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, that is so nice!" Like that's what the great thing is Amazing Race. They bring these people together that you would have never met in real life, and they just bring you together. And maybe some like each other more than others, and that's life and fine. But for overall, we're all friends, and we all enjoy each other.
It's been amazing just to have that experience with these people. Like they know what we've gone through. It's been almost a year now since we did it. And so still to have those tight bonds is really nice. So I think most people are able to look at it as we were in a race, we were in a competition.
Yeah.
That was then, this is now. We can separate the two things. But it doesn't change the fact that when you're reliving it and it's all fresh and new in this moment, some of that PTSD comes back when you're like, oh my gosh, we hate Coral.
Yeah, we're more frustrated with Coral than we are with any person, any team on the Amazing Race.
Yeah, I think Jack and Carson were just as shocked to get out of that U-turn vote without a single vote as I can imagine, because I think they knew that they were being perceived as a strong team, being in that top group, but people just weren't clocking them yet.
And I think that people didn't really. I feel like because of what Jackson and Carson look like they don't look very strong. You know that they're like nerdies and smarties, but they don't look very strong. I felt like other teams felt like they could beat them on a physical challenge or outrun them. And so I don't think that other teams thought they were a threat for that reason alone, just because of their looks. we knew they were a threat because we were often on the mat with them, right before them, right after them. We were close to them. But again, they were the type of, and that's why we're so close with them to this day. Like they are so happy and kind and positive. Like they sent us messages before the show aired. They're the first ones to send us messages after the show aired. Like they really are wonderful human beings. And
Great
so,
people. Absolutely. Well,
yeah.
let's get to more of these questions. There was a question about how far behind everybody we were. And I think that's something that the edit didn't show very well was when we left the monkey sanctuary, what place were we in?
Okay, so this is a little tricky. We walked out of the monkey sanctuary first, and it was either Han or Holden. I don't remember. We both kind of got to that taxi, the first taxi. And I was like, just have it because I didn't want any more confrontation or I didn't want any more
Especially with
drama.
them having just voted for us.
Yeah. So I'm like, just have it. Like, I could have been like, it's ours. And they probably would have been like, oh, okay. Like, they probably would have done that because they are actually really kind and nice as well. But I was like, I don't want any more more of this negativity. So I like just have it. So we got into the second taxi. If you notice, Han and Holden's taxi got there first, and then all the taxis got
All
there.
the
And
other
then there was a
taxis.
long, long time. And then our taxi got there. So what happened to our taxi is we hit a bird on the way. We had to pull over and stop the side window or
The
side
side
mirror
mirror
fell
for the
off. The guy had
driver.
to go out and get it. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. So our camera guy, our audio guy is talking to production. Everyone, they're clocking the time. Da, 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 they're like, and I'm like, what happened? Like, what has happened? So, but I thought it was only minutes. Like, honestly, it was exactly 6 minutes actually, but it was only minutes. And so I'm like, how far behind can
How
that? I
far
mean, that,
behind can we be?
and we get there and we see all these taxis in the parking lot. And I was like, you've got
We're
to be
last.
kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. Cause you never know about the taxi rides. So then when we get there, we, rush to do the coconuts as fast as we can. We actually finished second after Josiah and Alyssa, which let me just say this about Josiah. Why he doesn't get more airtime.
I don't
He,
know. The
he
dude
is
is
the most
hilarious.
comical, hilarious guy. I'm like, he needs to be on another show where maybe like Big Brother, where it's just more airtime because he is like comes up
So
with a joke.
quick.
Like, I wish I could just show you some of the stuff he posts on our text thread. He is hilarious. But anyway, so we finished right after. So they finished first, then we finished. But we see them. They were like cheering us on. They're like, you guys got like they helped us. We actually saw Jack and Carson, and they were like, pay attention to the coral color. Like they gave us a little bit of a nugget. Like so we were just late because of the dang bird. Dang it.
Yeah. That 6 minutes was a big deal. And we'll talk about that more at the end. But Amanda had a question about was there any strategy behind choosing the coconut detour first?
Yes, because it was so hot. It was like 90 plus degrees, 100% humidity. It was so, so hot. We knew that challenge was going to be so incredibly difficult and running and sweating and lifting coconuts. And then the other one was the ocean. So we're like, we could cool off. Let's work hard and be all sweaty and gross and then do the coral, cool off in the ocean, and then go on to the next challenge is what we were thinking.
Yeah, this was a great comment. So bummed at how it turned out, but I think now whenever I have a hard thing to do, I'm going to call it turning on the coconut hustle because y'all
Yeah.
definitely hustled those coconuts.
Oh, yes.
I think what was so typical of our attack, again, because Lori and I know we're not going to win foot races, we realized from what we had learned from Josiah and Alyssa that it was quite a distance from where the truck was to where we
Yeah.
had to deliver the coconuts. So Lori had the brilliant idea that work smarter, not harder.
Smarter, not harder. So what I did was I focused on grabbing the coconuts, the smallest bunch of coconuts not the smallest actual bunch, but the smallest coconuts on a bunch because they were lighter and then I could stack more. And so I'm going through a whole bunch of
She's
them because
grabbing
people are
bunches of them.
grabbing the coconut. And I was like, what the freak are you doing that for? That does not make sense to me. So that's why on our first trip, we got 30 coconuts and like our watch party, we had almost 60 people. Everyone's like cheering because other teams were like, I don't know, 15 or 20 or something. We had 30 the first time. And then the second time we had like 35.
We had 65 total, correct.
Yeah. So we had
We
35.
brought extras because we
Just in
thought we
case.
might lose some along the way and we weren't going to want to go back for
Yeah,
them.
we did not want to do a
So
third
we had
because
enough.
we don't want to run. That was the only reason because we did not want to run. It was so far to run and we suck at running and we just can't do it. So
And in fact, we finished the coconut so fast that we were running back and actually saw Jonathan and Anna going out with their coral into the waves. And that was a little bit different from how they edited or showed it on TV. So we knew we were doing really, really well. We knew we had knocked out coconuts pretty fast. and that we were just needed to tackle coral. And I'll say this, you saw the frustration on our faces when we, failed our first attempt, failed our second attempt, our third attempt, fourth attempt, fifth attempt, sixth attempt, seventh attempt. Um, I don't know about you, but when it came to memory tasks, when it came to any kind of detail-oriented kind of tasks, like, those were what I was really, really good at. Never had we done more than maybe 2 attempts at the most on
Right.
those kind of tasks, and so this was like bizarre territory for us all of a sudden to be failing so much.
Yep.
Um, in fact, my undergraduate studies were at UC Santa Barbara, and I had marine biology as one of the classes that I was taking. And Lori and I love to snorkel, so we're like always out there in the coral and stuff. So it was so frustrating just to not be getting this right, you know.
Yeah. If we did have one challenge or we were able to accomplish that challenge quicker, I would have done the it wasn't surfing one, but on the surfboard one. But I knew that that was gonna. I knew we were done, and I knew that I wanted Scott to have one more challenge under his belt, so he was able to perform that. But I would have done it if I knew we had people, several
Yeah,
teams
just
or a
to
few
keep
teams
things more
behind us.
even.
Yeah, so I would have done that, and it would have been, I mean, it would have been hard, obviously, it looked very difficult, but it would also have been a lot of fun to be out there, and to finish that challenge. But again, then, which they don't show you where you finish down that long boardwalk, you just run all the way down, and then the very end on that little peninsula thing is where Phil is. So much running, you guys, we're not good. We're
Yeah,
not good
good
at running.
runners. Well, and I mean, I didn't even stop to put my shoes on because, again, we were trying to just
Yeah,
do everything we can to get there as quickly as we possibly could. Lori was smart about, paying attention to people as they left, kinda knowing which direction they were heading. As we were coming in, we were seeing other teams leaving, so we
yeah,
kinda had an idea of where we might wanna try to go. We definitely could have got there faster than we did if we had followed Lori's idea
yeah.
versus what I thought we should
Do you
do,
have
but
any videos to show for this episode?
I'm gonna show them on our recap later,
Okay.
but,
Alright,
um,
any other questions then?
let me see. I've got Spurza, do you think you could have picked up on the coral differences better if you had gone there first versus being tired from the coconuts?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think I don't think so.
Well, I mean, one element that we didn't realize was the color of some of the coral did change as it dried out, and so keeping it wet did change some of the coloring a little bit, and I know Lori was trying to get the coral out and sorted the best we could so that we could try to get them on the cage correctly once we identified what the patterns and stuff needed to be, but we weren't necessarily going back and re-wetting the coral, and to be honest, I don't think the demonstration example was getting re-wet as often as it had been earlier and stuff, so it just became more and more challenging. Something
Yeah,
that we did learn, and again, because production does these challenges the day before to test them out and to make sure that they're ready. That's why Lori knew that she had beasted out the challenge ahead of time with the rice better than what they had done, during leg 4. But originally, Coral was supposed to have how many cages that they were gonna have to do
they were
day.
supposed to have 2 cages. So one of the producers was telling us that she, like, often does the challenges the day before. So we were like, "How did you do the coral challenge?" And she was like, "I didn't really struggle with it." She's like, "The only thing is we had 2 cages and they decided last minute to change it to 1." And I was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, if we had to do 2, oh my goodness."
Um, we get to the mat. We had that moment where we just realized, I mean, I started crying because I left it all out there trying to do everything we could to try to keep from being eliminated. And we find out that we're gone, we've been eliminated from the race. Production told us that we arrived 6 minutes after Jonathan and Anna did. And so
Remember the
realized,
bird, you guys? We stopped for 6 minutes.
yeah. So, I mean, so many little tweaks in
Yeah.
that whole entire
Or
sequence.
getting that first taxi.
Insane,
Like,
you know?
and I'm not the type like, "Oh, we shoulda, woulda, coulda." But I mean, it's interesting to point out, and really this is the case for every single team on The Amazing Race. There's probably 10 times in every episode that micro moments and movements and decisions and choices for every single team could change the outcome of every single episode it's just wild that just one decision, and there's something coming up, that another team, like, chooses some one thing over the other, and they get eliminated just because of this one decision. And that's exactly how it goes in the Amazing Race. It's just that's what happens.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
This was the statement that I think summed up for me the entire episode and the entire season was in our exit interview when Lori said, "We think we have a little bit left to give." And I feel like that was the biggest thing for me was I felt like our journey wasn't over. It felt like we weren't done. It was so hard to be told you're eliminated from a race when you realize like, but I'm not done racing. Like this is such a
Excuse me, but Phil, I'm not done yet. I still have 2 outfits I haven't worn.
I disagree.
I disagree. I vote to keep me. Oh, Phil, okay?
Yeah, I think that it was, I don't know, an amazing experience, something that I definitely am so grateful to have been able to do.
So something that's really fun about after, like with this videos or this picture's reminding me of it. So, we get eliminated, we talk to different producers and everyone was so kind. And we were like so thankful to be there, like thankful for the opportunity. And, I'm like, and I told them, I told Elise, I'm like, if you ever have a returner season of some kind, like we would be honored to be part of it. Like we just love this show and love you guys. And she was like, you would be a fan favorite. Like you would be on the fan favorite returners show. And I was like, really? You think so? Again, you're in a
bubble. You're in a race mode.
You're like, I have no idea how people are going to perceive us or what they're going. I mean, I knew there was never going to be any terrible edits of us because we're never like fighting and being awful to each other. But I still didn't know how the other teams could be just as happy and kind and nice. And I just didn't know. So for her to say that, it was just like, oh my gosh, that was like so amazing. And so another producer comes over and she's like, because when you're eliminated, they send you home like within 4 or 5 hours. And so
that was one of the questions DJ was asking, what happens when you get eliminated? Do you get full home?
So they give us our itinerary. We're supposed to leave like at midnight or 12:30. They were going through South Korea or something, and then on to something in United States, and then to anyways. So we're like, okay, that's great, and then we see a bunch of producers like all chatting and kind of like looking over us, and we're like, what is happening? This is like so bizarre. So then another producer comes over and they're like, okay, we decided to extend your stay till tomorrow night. And we're like, oh my gosh. So this resort in Bali was the best resort. It was so beautiful. It was so nice. And so this picture, our bathing suits are under this. So we knew we were going to, so we went back to our room and then they called us out for our final interview. So we put our bathing suits on under. So the second we're done interviewing, we're like, bye. We go right to the ocean. Actually, where's those pictures of us at the beach, Scott?
I don't have them. Yeah, I've got to find them.
Yeah, we got to find those to post about them later. So we were like on the beach and like we went in the water and we were getting seashells. And then we would see random people were like, can you take our picture and can you email it to us because we are on vacation with
our phones.
Oh, we look like the biggest idiots. And then my bathing suit's pink, his bathing suit's pink. And so everyone's like, so you guys are so matchy. And we're like, yes, we are. So then what we ended up doing, and then the whole rest of the day, the next day we could stay. So we stayed at the resort. We got a massage. Like it was freaking awesome. So we had a producer staying with us that day. And so we flew out with her that next night. We flew from Bali to Amsterdam. Now in Amsterdam, she was going to go on to the next leg because she was like the production part of it. And we were going on a direct flight to Salt Lake City. And so I made it clear. I'm like, okay, so at Amsterdam, when we land, we are disconnected. We are released from CBS and Amazing Race. Is that correct? And she was like, absolutely. Here's your phones back. Here's all your stuff. You're good to go. And so we were like, bye. And we went right to the counter and exchanged our ticket. And we extended it for a week. We hopped on a flight. And this is all of us now.
Our own expense.
We hopped on a flight to Switzerland, stayed in Switzerland for a few days, then flew back to Amsterdam, stayed in Amsterdam a few days, and then we flew home. Because I'm like, wait a minute, we're in Europe. I have a babysitter. We have our phones back. We're released from them. And that's what actually blew up stuff on like Discord. They were like, wait a minute, why are Scott and Lori in Switzerland? Is this a new twist that Amazing Race gives you your phone backs? Like it was so funny to like read all this because you can't reply and go, yep, you're right. Because we are officially not on the Amazing Race, right? And so it was so fun to like an extended trip.
Up until that point in the race, all of the countries we had visited were red and white flags. And we pop up in Switzerland, which is another country with a red and white flag. And so everyone's like, oh my gosh, the Amazing Race in Switzerland. And they're like, wait, we're confused. Like, where's everybody else? And it was just so
And we were
frustrating.
actually hoping they were not going to Switzerland, because if we're in Switzerland and Amazing Race is in Switzerland and they see like that would have probably not been good for us, because we'd have been like, hey, you want to borrow our phones? And they're like, wait a minute, you're on this season. Like, that would have been weird, because again, all of the countries were red and white. So we were thinking that was a theme of the Amazing Race
Yeah.
37 was red and white flags.
So crazy. Jen says so much love for you
Thanks,
guys.
Jen.
Too bad we didn't get down to Arizona to do a watch party. One of these days, maybe.
Thank you. That would
Yeah,
be amazing.
lots of love coming into the chat. We appreciate
Thank
you so
you.
much.
So yeah, it was awesome to watch it. I know, extended vacation. It was awesome to watch it, to see kind of the behind the scenes of what everyone else said and did and just stuff like that. And I wasn't emotional. I'm not a crazy emotional person, but I wasn't really emotional till the very end when the credits go up. Our watch party all starts clapping. They stand up, give us a standing ovation, and start
Yeah,
clapping. And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I have the best friends and family, like the best community that has support us, and like you guys as well, with all of these nice comments. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like it was all worth it. Like, as much as, you know, some people say negative things about you on the show, like the other contestants or fans, like the majority is what you guys are saying, which is just so great and so nice. And thank you for
yeah,
all
we
the
really
support.
appreciate all the love and support that we've been getting all season long. This is a great question that Playtrain wanted to ask. Regardless whether it's in this season's route or not, what is a country you wish you got to visit if we were still in the race?
Um,
Well, I think we can show this one. This is where they're going next, and this is something we
and I was
definitely
going to
would.
say that's
Hold
what
on,
I
let me
would have said I wanted.
Yeah, so episode 6, they're going to Bali. Why
No,
did you want? Oh, not Bali, Dubai.
and that was probably one of my biggest. I mean, there's so many countries that I wanted to go visit, but Bali was definitely on my list. So when
Dubai.
Dubai
I
was
just
definitely on
said
my list.
Bali.
So after we were eliminated and we went on our travels, so the next team that's eliminated, we contacted them and we were like, where did you go? Like, what's going on? Because Discord, the people that are like secretly following them, kind of lost them for a few days. And so we didn't even know where they had gone. And so this team was like, we went to Dubai. And I was like, no way, that's so awesome. And we jumped out of an airplane. And I was like, oh. And that's actually when I felt really bad, because out of any adventurous activity to do, that is like Scott's number one thing. Mine is like negative 100. I would never
Yeah,
do that. Scott's
I
number
want to
one
jump out
thing.
of a
And I was
plane
just
so
like,
bad.
oh, I wish we would have I wish we could have lasted one more leg so Scott could have accomplished that. That would have been freaking awesome. But probably Dubai. But we are
And
going back to Japan with our kids next summer, because they're crazy into anime and all that. And so we are going to go back to Japan.
yeah, we're planning to take the boys back, which will be really epic.
Yeah.
Mark popped in. He said, I can only pop in for a moment, but I cried last night when y'all were eliminated.
Oh.
Obviously, I cried too. I'm a softie.
Yes.
So let's do a little bit of our prize stuff. Let me go back to those
Yeah.
slides. We do want to make sure that we get a chance to recognize people that participated. We actually had 38 responses to people guessing in the chat or in the form that we put up of who they
Nice.
thought would win this leg of the race. And we appreciate the love right here. We
Oh,
got
shoot.
47% of the votes.
Did anyone get it
18
right?
people, 18 people said us, 12 people said Carson and Jack. 4 people said Alyssa and Josiah, and the right answer was Mark and Brett, and nobody guessed them.
And I honestly thought, I was surprised that they won last night, because I thought it was Jack and Carson. I thought that's what I had heard in the finale when we were all together. I thought that was the rundown, but so I was like, oh, wait a minute, they did? Because at the end of every episode, there's 2 teams, and you're like, which one is it going to be? Which one is it going to be? And then I was like, wait, it was Mark and Brett? I didn't realize that they had won that leg.
Yeah. Well, we remembered Jack and Carson getting out of there first, because they were the ones that gave us the clues about the coral, which again, we were so appreciative of them taking a moment just to like reconnect with us on their way out, trying to give us tips and help us out, which really showed that they were trying to support us. And then the next slide is, which team do you feel like is going to get eliminated for this leg of the Amazing Race? 38 responses again. 15 people said Melinda and Erica. 12 people said Han and Holden. Only 4 of you said us. So those 4 of you were right. Unfortunately, we did get eliminated. That was Brianna, Casey, Playtrium, and Riley Queens. So we're going to do a little drawing of them to see who's going to win our little
Like, I hate that I
prize.
got it right. No, and it's tricky because you're watching this show and you start falling in love with these teams and these, characters, and like your heart doesn't want them to leave. But if you were looking strategically, we were in the lead. Then there was that kind of blow up on the mat on episode 4. Like, it was really clear, like it was going to be Jonathan, Nana, and Scott and I. Like, if you were like more strategically watching the show and not like, oh my gosh, I love Team Pink and I love Team whatever, and I love, like, if you were just more watching it, like it was pretty. I mean, not that we were going to be eliminated, but it was obvious that we were going to
Exactly, and it was making it obvious for sure.
Yeah,
and the entire, when you look at the visibility of the two teams, their team and our team, through the whole episode, it was pretty clear that they were two trains on, a collision course for each other. But
yes,
here we go. Let's shuffle these up and spin the wheel.
Remember, if you do win, make sure to just message us so we can Venmo you some money.
Hey, Brianna.
Nice job.
Good job.
Thanks for voting for us. No, I'm just kidding.
All right.
Oh, yes, it was. Chelsea, it was so sad. I know last night they were like, well, our Wednesday nights are free now. And I was like, yes, we don't have to be like having because we had watch parties every single time. And actually, we're having a watch party next week in California.
San Diego.
We are going on spring break, so our friend Danny is there. We're having another watch party, and I wouldn't even mind having more watch parties because they're so fun to just like watch it in the community, and people are cheering. Oh, like all the different like emotions that are people, like, it's so fun. But now I can watch it in my pajamas in my bed. So
I know, much more comfortable. This is a question I don't really understand. Oh, that was me. I won this. Oh yeah, it's possible. Reach out to us. We'll make sure that either on Instagram, wherever you follow us, we'll make sure you.
Yeah, let me know your Venmo.
Atrium asked, by the way, what was the food from the first Q&A? I don't remember.
What was the food? What food?
Maybe you can explain more, Platrium. I don't know your question. For those that didn't win, we definitely love giving back to the fans, the community. This is the Leg 5 map that shows kind of how we bounce all over to the monkey sanctuary, down to the beaches, from one beach to another, from 2 different areas. But so much fun to be able to share that Google map creation. And to be honest, I don't think I'm going to do any for the rest of the legs because my journal entries don't exist for any more of these legs. So it's hard for me to give you the same content as far as the details and all that stuff that we went into it. But it was definitely fun to be able to share.
Yes. Well, and the last few legs were like, we didn't take wrong taxi, right? Like, so they're like, to the correct place, and done. When Hong Kong and Japan are like all the wrong places that we went.
All right, Platrium clarified. You were said in the first Q&A there was some local food at a pit stop that you loved. What was it?
So it was on episode 4, so it's still in Bali. I had you write it down in your book, Scott, because I was like, what is this? Again, I don't like lots of food. You guys, I'm very, very picky eater. And it kind of even looked a little funky, but it was mainly noodles. And I was like, I'll just have a bite because I'm starving. And I was like, I'm like, can I have another one? Like, I was begging, and they were like, we only have one per. And I'm like, there's only like a little tray like this. I was like, we need more of this. Scott, find out what it is, and we will post it. Oh my gosh, that was so delicious. And maybe
it was noodles. It was like an Indonesian noodle dish with like chicken.
It had rice and it had vegetables and chicken. Yeah. But there was a sauce. Oh, that was the best.
Vocal House, Jackson. Our son Jackson.
So our kids mostly were able to attend the watch party. Some of them had lacrosse where they kind of would come and go. And because during commercials, we would always give like the behind the scenes. Jackson would always record all the behind the scenes because there's always so many little tidbits that people don't know or miss or just want to know more about it. And so then Jackson would always record all of the behind the scenes or the commercial breaks, and then he would send them to the family chat to fill in all the other brothers. And it was
like didn't get a chance to attend.
Yeah. So thank you for Jackson for doing that for us. That sounds familiar.
I think that's it.
It. I'm going to look it up right now. Oh my gosh. For some reason, I'm like, wait a minute, that word, because I remember I couldn't spell it and she had to sign it or should. Yes,
write it down.
That is. Oh my gosh. I think that's it. Right? Don't you think that's it, honey?
That's 100% it.
Oh, okay. Now where can I get it?
We're in Salt Lake City. Do they have meat cutting?
Uh,
If I said that right,
me
I don't know.
I know how do you s me I don't know
Me
how to say
Gory.
it.
I don't know.
Oh, baby. Yeah, I just kinda have oh, yes, that is it. Oh, so maybe it doesn't have rice in it. Anyways, it's still good.
Tom wants to know what was your favorite
Favorite
task on the
task?
race?
Um, I guess probably the first one I did, the climbing the structure, because I felt like I mean, in the beginning, I really struggled with seeing all these younger teams that I knew could outwit, outlast, outplay me,
Right.
and
Survivor.
really outrun me. Like I felt like I was too old and I wasn't strong enough and I was slow in running. And I was really worried that I was going to bring our team down. And like I really, really struggled with that, especially because I have to eat food and I have to sleep. And on the Amazing Race, you really can't have that. So I felt like it was gonna like we weren't gonna last very long and it was gonna be 100% my fault. So for me, oh gosh, for me, being able to climb that, bamboo, like, not the fastest, but, like, really well for myself, not even against anybody else. For me to be able to do it quite quickly for myself and, like, get it done was just, like, empowerment, like, "Wait, Lori, you are pretty freaking amazing." And to, like, prove to my husband, even though he never doubted me, like, "Your wife is pretty freaking amazing." To my kids,
Pretty freaking
"Your
amazing.
mom is pretty freaking amazing." And then also to other moms, like, "You're not just a mom." That's actually something Phil asked me on the mat. They didn't air it. They were like, "What would your advice be to the other moms?" And I'm like, "You're not just a mom. Like, your world is amazing because of your children, but it's not because of just your children. Like, you are so much more than that." Anyways, that was pretty powerful.
Yeah, for
What about
sure.
yours, Scott? What would you think?
I definitely love the drumming. I love the fact that we were able to get in there one time, kill it, get out of there
Yeah,
so quickly. And the big comeback that we had in leg two because of that, I felt like that was pretty awesome. Plus, being able to do that with Bernie and having that connection with Bernie and Kerrigan during that
yeah,
leg was really, really cool. And
yeah,
like we said during leg four, having them feel connected enough with us that they would want to reach out, even though production didn't want to allow them to give us a goodbye hug before they left,
yeah.
just really meant a lot. I think just watching you do so incredibly well. Like I know we're not the fastest, and that's what we kept trying to say was we were going to lose foot races, but we proved that we are definitely a strong, dominant team. I was reading a lot of the Discord comments last night, and they were like watching you alongside Nick do the same race challenge with the same weight, and you kill it.
I
And then
did.
last night with us doing coconuts in 2 trips, but it took Nick and Mike 4 trips to get the same number of coconuts. It's just interesting to see a dynamic where obvious people that are much stronger than us struggling a little bit more than what we were struggling with because we just had a different mindset about how we were trying to go about
Yeah.
it, how we were trying to approach it.
Yeah,
So
and no disrespect to Nick and Mike.
no,
It's just
none.
by looks, they are these younger, fit, strong guys that could clearly outdo anything that we do. And for yeah, when I beat it, like I was like, where did he go? Like we were left the rice, and I was like, wow, that was amazing that I did it that fast. And then also the coconuts were like, wow, we did it in two. Like that was awesome. Like again,
Chelsea wants
oh
to know,
god,
would you do the race again if they asked
100%.
tomorrow?
Yes, if they called today, I would be like, "What color are we?" I'm ordering on Amazon right
Yeah.
now for sure.
We gotta
So
get our outfits together.
we got to get our outfits together, and we probably wouldn't be Team Pink again. So I do know this that they are filming 38 as we speak, and it's Big Brother cast, and it's going to be freaking awesome, like a Big Brother cast and a loved one. They are taking applications right now for season 39, which will film
All
in the
newbies.
fall and it will air in the spring. Now they are going to be filming in the spring season 40. Now this is what is just speculation as season 40
Yeah,
is
we don't know
return.
anything for
I
sure.
have no idea. This is just what I have heard several times. And if it is
We want to be here.
Chelsea, I would love to do that. Yes. But I already told production. I already told Elise. I told Bertram. I told Darren. I told Pat. I told
Nah,
Matt. I told
anybody
all of
over
them,
there.
like, we would be honored. We'd be thrilled to represent the Amazing Race again. But I mean, there's so many 37 seasons of so many amazing freaking teams. Like,
Well, and I mean, we were thrilled to be able to represent the Amazing Race on Raid the Cage. That's what I'm
oh,
showing on
yes,
this. This
yes,
shows a summary of our race history and how we did, but it also shows some of the trivia. And this is all on the Wiki pedia that they do specifically for the Amazing Wiki. But what I appreciated was they reminded everybody that we did get to represent on the Raid the Cage, which was amazing. They could have chosen any racers from any other season. They chose our season. They chose us. We're appreciative of that.
Yeah.
But then I
Absolutely.
also love, we set a franchise record, babe. Did you know that?
No, what is it?
It says Scott and Lori
I
have
can't
the
even see the.
highest. I know it says right there in the middle. Scott and Lori have the highest average of any ninth place team at 3.6. So we have the highest average placement of any ninth place team that's ever finished. So
that's awesome. That is awesome.
There's another question somebody had. They love our shirts. Any future of selling those or giving away the template?
Yes. So Scott, so you have to get everything approved, right? Like literally from your underwear to everything, you have to get it approved by production to even have it. If you want to have a graphic, like if you have to Nike thing, like it has to be smaller than a quarter. If you want like some graphic, kind of like what we had, we have to get like the CBS lawyers have to get approval from the third party. And it's like this whole process. And I'm like, we don't have time for that because literally we had 2.5 weeks after they're like, by the way, you're on season 37. We had 2.5 weeks of getting, like, that's when we found out pink. That's when we found out like all this stuff. And so we were like in a crazy, frantic, we were in a race before the race started trying to get our wardrobe. So Scott just created that logo of adding the temple, adding the different buildings,
mountains.
Mount Timpanogos was it? Yeah, Mount Timpanogos. Well, no, it's just the mountains. And then we had a second shirt, which we wear in the finale episode. It's of Mount Olympus, and it says hashtag BEA Utah full. So it's the beautiful with the Utah in it. So Scott created those images so that we can have them. So yes, we are planning on marketing them and selling them. It just, we didn't realize how crazy time consuming it would be to just be a contestant on The Amazing Race, of how many interviews of news, radio, newspaper, podcast, like, and then Scott actually has to work full time, and I have 8 kids, and we have like other parts of our lives that we have to do. Like it's been, and that's why Scott is so sick, is he has literally been, he flies in Wednesday morning, watches the watch party, does a bunch of stuff online. Thursday we have tons of podcasts, and then he leaves like Friday or Saturday.
I fly out tonight.
So normally though he's flying out Friday or Saturday, and then he's working until Wednesday morning. So he gets off Tuesday night, like at midnight or 11 o'clock, drives to Vegas, gets a 6 a.m. flight. So he's not sleeping. And I think that's why he's so it's good for Scott's health that we were eliminated. Scott will now be functioning a little bit better because March and April has been a little stressful for him.
Keo says, I would love to see you guys race again. Valor says, next time maybe you'll get to be Team Green finally.
That's what I said. I would love that.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think we're going to wrap up. We actually have a ton of exit interviews we have to do, and we hope you'll tune into all the different formats where we're going to have opportunities to talk with lots and lots of people about our experience. But the great thing about our vlog, our recaps, we're not going anywhere, guys. Even though we've been eliminated from the race, we're still going to be coming back each week. We're still going to do these live Q&As every Thursday at 10 a.m. Where opportunities to answer questions you guys might have about the show. We're going to tell you how we would have run that leg if we were still in it. And then we're also going to talk about the different dynamics, what we see the teams doing. You know, we can speculate a lot more, which I think is going to be a lot more fun because we don't know what happens. So this is going to be us now
we
being
know
fans of the
we
show.
know who was eliminated, and we know where they go, and we know the winner of the Amazing Race. But in the very specific things of the episode that we can say, we don't know that part. But.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, we're going to skip the Scott and Lori recaps each week because we don't have stuff to feature specifically about our experience. Yeah. But we still will be doing the live Q&As, and we're still going to be doing the panel. So we're going to bring on other racers, other fans, opportunities to digest the episode, talk about stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep,
so hopefully you guys are all going to be able to tune in. Next week's episode is It Smells Like the Desert. They're going to Dubai. They're skydiving. Epic, like we talked about. It's going to be
so amazing, you guys.
But we appreciate you guys. We love you so much, and we just really, really, really appreciate the support we felt from you guys as we were doing this. So Thompsons aren't going anywhere. We love you guys.
We'll be here every Thursday. So thanks for watching, you guys.
Bye.